Today we're looking at the all-new MUSTOOL MT8208 Graphical Multimeter. Big thanks goes out to Banggood. Thank you for sending the MUSTOOL in for this review. 08 ships in your standard box. This one was a little beaten up, but that's okay. It was none the worse for wear. You do get a pretty decent little case, one of these soft cases to carry your meter with you wherever you may go. And as well, you get a couple of standard test leads. Now, the leads themselves, honestly, I find them a little bit on the cheap side. This is not a cheap meter, so I was expecting a little bit better. They are rated at Cat 3 1000 volts, 10 amps, but feel really plasticky in the hand, and I don't know. If I was going to spend a lot of time with this meter, I would definitely replace the leads. Pretty decent shrouding on the other ends of them, nice and long, so that is a good thing. And in terms of the overall fit, yeah, they get in there nice and snug, so yeah, not going anywhere. 8208 is actually the brother. Now, is it the big brother or the little brother? Well, that's a hard one to say. This one is only capable of 1 megahertz analog bandwidth. Yes, 1 megahertz. That's it. That's all. Really not much. The older MDS8207 did 40 megahertz, so quite a difference. Really, you know, they call it a graphical multimeter, and that's what it is. It's not really an oscilloscope at all. It's going to show you some waveforms, but if you're going to try and capture anything, you know, some fast signals, you're using the wrong device. Finish-wise, I do prefer it over the older MDS8207. This one has a lot more, just feels better in the hand. Now, it does not have a protective boot, no rubber housing, plastic encasement, what have you. So you're going to want to be careful if you have this in the shop, because it can easily fall out of your hands. But that being said, overall, the look is nice and clean. And I got to tell you, a little touch such as having a nice colored arrow on that rotary selector makes a huge difference. Speaking of the rotary selector switch itself, yeah, has a really nice feel. Firm. Good quality clicking, and all in all, nice design. Also ships with a pretty decent kickstand, has a nice wide base, which is always a bonus, and it does not flop around. Meter itself is not cheap. It lists for around $75 to $85 US, around $100 plus Canadian. Starting off with the rotary selector switch at the 9 o'clock or off position, followed by millivolts, DC volts up to 1000 volts, AC volts up to 750 volts. Frequency from 5 Hz to 5 MHz. Resistance, continuity, diode, and capacitance. High capacitance up to 10 millifarad. Milliamps, AC/DC. High current amps, AC/DC. Finally, the secondary off position. At the top of the left, we have our F1 through F4 keys. These have multiple functions depending on the mode you're in. The bottom left, we have our R key. This is how you get into and out of oscilloscope mode, followed by the S button on the right, which is our data lock and save. We have our high current on the left, followed by our milliamp and millifarad, volts, resistance, and low capacitance, followed by the common or neutral ground on the far right. Scope meter user's manual. This is a basic manual, gives you the rundown of both the graphical multimeter mode as well as multimeter mode. Some nice pics and diagrams. All in all, not so bad. Once again, it's pretty basic, but really all you need. Okay, let's turn the meter on for the first time, shall we? Bada boom, bada bing. You see we have a graphical state as we turn on, and whoa, look at that screen. Holy moly. This is what they call a high definition screen. Yeah, it is definitely unique. I have not seen anything like this before in the world of multimeters. This is truly a, well, I don't know, a funky looking display. I'm actually going to turn a couple more lights out just so you can see a really good look-see. But yeah, it is not your typical reverse LCD. They call it a high definition display. Big chunky yellow numerics, followed by a very clear verbose overall look. You know what? I like it. I like it a lot. It has grown on me the last couple of weeks when I've been testing out this meter, and I gotta say, it is pretty neat. Yeah. And one of the nice things as well is the fact that even with a lot of glare, you know, it's still very usable, very readable. So excellent job, MUSTOOL, on the look for this graphical meter. Looks amazing. Starting off with the DC accuracy test, 249.9 millivolts. Oh yeah, nice and accurate. Should be looking at 250. Close enough. 2.50 volts, what we want. 2.496 is what we get. Look at AC volts. Here we go. And you hear that beep letting us know that we are in the danger zone. That's right, we have our high voltage annunciator over there. Cool little feature. And a little beep there just to let us know that we are in high voltage. 119.6 is what we get, and that is pretty well spot on. Now, if we wanted, we can take this one step further and we can check out our frequency and duty cycle. So let's just do that. And if we press that button again, we will get the 49.8% duty cycle. And hitting the button one more time brings us back to the frequency 60 Hertz. Spot on. Now, as well, we can take this into graphical mode by hitting the R button. And hang on, we gotta be in volts to hit that R button. Here we go. And there is our sine wave. And you can see, yeah, so now we're getting a good indicator of what the signal looks like. And that's really is what this multimeter is capable of. It's not a full-blown oscilloscope. It's going to show you the signal, and really that's it. That's all. You can data log these signals. You can save them as well, but it is not a oscilloscope replacement. But here we are. What do we have here? 115 volts RMS, 60 Hertz, and that is actually a pretty decent looking sine wave. In resistance now, looking at 100 ohm lab resistor, and yeah, that is fairly accurate, 100.3 ohm. Now, while we're at it, let's just see if we have any resistance on these test leads. And if we do, we can rel them out with the rel feature. And we don't. Spot on. Very nice. So if we had to rel them out, you can see here is our rel. So we would hit that F1, and that would zero out any resistance. But all in all, looking good. Let's see how fast this meter is for ranging. Starting off with 1 mega ohm. All right, 3 mega ohm, 6 mega ohm, 10 mega ohm, 10.4, 10.44. All right, so yeah, it's not the fastest, you know. Let's try 2.2 mega ohm, 2.22. 100K, 110K, 111K. Yeah, wow. Fairly accurate, just not the fastest one. Darling, you look marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. You do. Really nice. Taking a look at the current draw on the MUSTOOL. Wow, 67.5 milliamps. This guy really can eat those batteries. Holy moly, that is going to give you about 15 to 20 hours of life on the average set of AA's. Definitely something to take into consideration if you're pondering purchasing this meter. A neat little feature in diode mode, we just hit that F2 and it gives us sort of a max min for diode. Let's try it out. 0.513, 0.510. Let's try another diode. 0.511. 0.521. 0.519. So you can see so far it's telling us that the minimum has been 0.510 as a maximum forward voltage drop. Kind of neat. Diode mode. Here we go. Starting off with the green LED. And it is not lit, and we do not have a forward voltage drop. That sucks. Yellow, same thing. Oh my goodness. The red LED. Hang on, hang on. What the hell is going on? What? No. And the white LED. Wow. Let me just try this again. Is this for real? I'm 100% positive those probes were... Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the probes. Shish karumba. Wow. So 0 for 5 for lighting. up those LEDs as well as giving us a forward voltage drop indicator. That really is poor. In fact, that's utterly bad. That's just bad. So there's a big part of the problem. For some reason, in diode mode, the output voltage is a measly 1.49 volts, just under 1.5 volts. Oh. So we're now in capacitance mode, and this meter has a weird way of dealing with capacitance. Basically have two capacitance modes, a low capacitance from 10 picofarad to 100 nanofarad, then our standard capacitance up to 10 millifarad. To go to the high capacitance, we actually have to switch the selector switch over to the MF mode, millifarad mode. But right now we're in low capacitance mode, so let's just try that out. So let's start off with a 10 nanofarad capacitor. Here we go. And yeah, 10.3 nanofarad, looking good. Here we have a 470 nanofarad capacitor, coming up as 477. So in the low capacitance range, no issues here. Okay, I'm going to switch it now to high millifarad mode, high capacitance mode, and let's see how it does with this 10 millifarad capacitor. Now when you're in high capacitance range, very important, you're going to have to switch that test lead over to the MF. So take it out of your standard and put it into the into the MA/MF, milliamp/millifarad. Okay, here we go, millifarad mode, locked and loaded. Come to Papa. Anything happening? Not getting any indicator on the display itself. That gorgeous display is not telling us anything. I wonder if that fly would have any information. Okay, we're still looking. 10 millifarad is what we want to see. Come on, come on. Anybody, anything, lights, camera, action, and it is just dead air here, nothing in MF mode. Oh wow, this is rather painful. Okay, well, let's just try something else here. Disconnect those, and we'll try another capacitor, maybe not quite as high. Okay, I've got a 560 microfarad cap here. Now let's try this, see if we have any more luck. Oh boy, don't let us down in the capacitance department, please. 550 microfarad. Survey says. Hey boo-boo, let's get another capacitor before the work ranger gets our picnic basket. I'm sorry, that was a really bad Yogi impersonation. Okay, nothing. Oh gosh, that's aggravating. Why, oh why is that happening? But I've tried everything, and suffice to say, it is a no-go. Millifarad mode does not work on this multimeter, at least on this particular unit that I have. Yeah, that's really just too bad. Alrighty, Aphrodite, it is continuity time. Stock probes, 3, 2, 1. It's certainly loud. Loud, latched, a little slow. Let's try the Probe Masters. Probe Masters, 3, 2, 1. Honestly, I don't see a big difference. A little bit faster. Still a little flaky in terms of latching. Perhaps a tad louder as well. It's a so-so. .5 decibels maximum output volume in continuity. All right, we're going to put this into oscilloscope, or shall we say graphical multimeter mode. By doing that, we just put it into volts, doesn't really matter, AC or DC, and hit that R button. And bada boom, bada bang, bada bang, we are in oscilloscope mode. Okay, let's go through some of those wave sets right now. I've got the oscilloscope out along with the Unity function waveform generator, and of course the little MUSTOOL MT8208 100 kilohertz, 10 volts peak to peak. Yeah, looks good on the MUSTOOL. Fairly decent looking sine wave. Let's try a different waveform. Let's try a square wave. And yeah, I think the oscilloscope has it right, but look at that, a little bit iffy for the MUSTOOL. Let's try a pulse wave. Not much difference here. Let's do a ramp wave. Okay, so not bad overall, considering. Now we do have a much smaller display, obviously, than the oscilloscope full size, but let's play a little bit with the symmetry, shall we? Let's change the angle. Yeah, so it seems to be handling that okay as well. Once again, you're looking at a much smaller waveform, shape, everything. We've got a tiny display. It's only going to be able to fit so much. 1 megahertz, definitely not a powerhouse. Don't forget that old MUSTOOL was 40 megahertz, so definitely a little bit more power under the hood. That being said, I mean, it is what it is. It's displaying those waveforms, and you know, it can come in handy definitely depending on what kind of situation you're in. As well, if you want to change the time base, you have to go into the time. You've got your F2, F3 keys here. You can actually change the size of that waveform itself. You'll be using these buttons a lot with this meter in terms of that subset menu. You have these F2, F3 keys. You're going to be using them basically all the time. Take a quick look at DC accuracy, sitting at 1.65 volts. Here we go, up and away. 4.48 volts, 4.49 showing up on the recently calibrated key site, 4.49, wavering, but yeah, 449 for the MUSTOOL. All right, up and away, 10.06 volts, 10.06 for the key site, 10.06 for the MUSTOOL. Hey, nice and accurate so far. Higher and higher, 18.7 for the key site, 18.7 for the MUSTOOL. All right, here we go. We're getting that high voltage alert with the MUSTOOL when we hit that 20 volt range. I believe that was 20 volts. Let's just verify that. 25 volts actually brought that high voltage signifier on the display. So 25.76 volts on the MUSTOOL, 25.76 right on for the key site, and 25.78 for the for the power supply. I should hope so. Okay, we're gonna max things out now. 31.4 volts, 31.3 for the key site, 31.3. Look at that! Wow, awesome, identical. I mean, 3138, 3138 for the MUSTOOL, right alongside that calibrated, expensive key site. Good job. And hey, you know what? This is a pretty accurate little meter. Fortunately, there is no bar graph. But yeah, that would have been nice to check it out as well. But hey, in terms of accuracy, can't do much better than that. And we've been sitting at around 5.3 amps for about 10 minutes, and all looks good for the MUSTOOL. Taking a look at that current draw on that gorgeous HD screen on the MUSTOOL, yeah, it's pulling around 67 milliamps. If we do the math, that's going to equate to about 15 to 20 hours with your average AA size batteries. So not a whole long life for those batteries. So this guy really does suck a lot of juice. You're paying for that gorgeous display. It's up to you if it's worth it. Alrighty, it is teardown time. Starting off with those batteries. Let's see. Yeah, there they are. We've got 3 AA's. And it's nice, there's no screw or anything involved, just a simple little tab, pull, and release. Okay, 4 Phillips, and it gets us on the inside. And, oh yeah, ooh, let's take a look at that. Starting off with the reverse side of the meter, yeah, look at that, shielding, oh my god, I'm happy. Now, if this was a cheapo, you know what'd be happening right now? I'd be popping that champagne. It's gonna happen, I'm hoping. One of these days, we're going to find nice shielding on a cheapo. Until then, the champagne remains chilled. Okay, so once again, hey, beautiful MUSTOOL. Kudos. Yes, I know it's a $100 meter, but at the end of the day, it's still nice stuff. Fine shielding. Great, great job. Taking a look at those input jack inputs, look at those split variety. You know, at this price point, I would have preferred to see something a little more robust, a little bit better than your standard split jack inputs. But hey, it is what it is. At least they are soldered in there quite nicely, nice big blobs of solder. And look at that, we got some different fuses. Now these are these little mini SMD fuses. And if we take a look here, we've got one. Yeah, that is on the voltage side. This is our milliamp here, so we have another 500 milliamp SMD fuse on the milliamp side as well. And finally, this is our high current input right here. And yeah, that's where we have that nice, albeit interesting, 10 amp SMD fuse right over there. You don't see SMD fuses really utilized very often in meters, at least not yet, but well, you know, there's certain reasons why. Definitely harder to replace. Now these are resettable per se, unless they get really fried, then you're gonna have to take out that soldering gun, and they are harder to source, but nonetheless, you can get them from third-party suppliers, no worries there. We have the main battery insert right in the middle of the meter. Yeah, 3 AA's go right there. Hey, almost forgot, look at that. We have a little PTC just hiding, and he's on the voltage side. Hello, Mr. PTC. Alrighty, moving up the board here. Whoa, gorgeous big blob of solder here. I love it when I get those nice big shiny blobs. That is a little bit of attention to detail. Here we have the STM32F401. This is a high-performance ARM Cortex 32-bit RISC processor with a frequency of up to 84 megahertz. Uber cool. To the right of that, we have the CS772 ICN. That is what powers that gorgeous HD display. Yummy. The LCD driver. Very, very nice. And taking a closer look at those input jacks, you can see once again those really gorgeous blobs of solder. So those are in there nicely, nice and snug. Great job. Couple of crystals. There's our piezo, rather loud piezo for such a tiny looking one. On the other side right now, there we have our tracks. Nice pads for that selector switch, and here's those soft touch buttons. Very, very nice. Very nice feeling there, not this cheap plastic. Great job. Here we have just the basic window, our little porthole to the world of electronics. And let's take a look now on the other side of the main PCB. Wow, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Nice big current shunt going on here, and wow, this is a really, really gorgeous looking PCB. Very, very nicely done. High quality, nice and thick too. Gorgeous. Beautiful tracks. Wow, nice spacing, good clearance. A lot of isolation going on here. I like what I see. And there is that gorgeous display. I just can't get over this. It just works for me. I like it so much. So that ribbon cable that was on the other side, that is actually connected to that gorgeous HD display. So that is how you're getting that connection. Beautiful. Alrighty, gonna put it all back together, come back with my closing thoughts. Closing thoughts on the MUSTOOL MT8208. Wow, you know, it's funny, I've been using this meter for about a week on and off, and you know, I do like the meter. It looks good, it feels good, and generally it's, you know, not a bad little instrument to have on the bench. Now that being said, it really did have some, tough times today, and some of the things are just inexcusable. Let's take into account that really bad LED. Oh my goodness, 1.5 volts, that's it, that's all. Definitely a fail in that department. Capacitance range, oh my god, what is with the dual capacitance setting? Why can't we just have one darn capacitance range and be done with it? No, instead we have this tiny range, which worked, but then we went to the millifarad range and it didn't work at all. I tell you, I've had the odd little bug as well with this meter. Sometimes it has just rebooted on its own for no apparent reason. That is definitely not a good thing. On the plus side, hey, once again, the display is absolutely gorgeous. I like it. Your mileage may vary, but it definitely works for me. Now, a lot of people are going to get this meter because they want an oscilloscope multimeter. And if you do that, just remember, you're not getting an oscilloscope. It is really just a waveform display. That's it. That's all. Great build quality, I gotta say, but I did miss that boot. At the end of the day, you know, this one just had too many on the negative side. The MUSTOOL MT8208 gets a sad 2.5 out of 5 stars. Hey, here's hoping that MUSTOOL can make better on this meter. Hey, it's got so much potential, and I really hope they have a revision soon and fix some of these bugs. Thanks for watching this review, everybody. Till the next one, keep on testing.